that's what the energies felt like all day. I don't know about you. Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Weird day, man. I woke up just in just the energy, man. I had to, get the sigils going and the charged one. Someone asked, do you really believe in that? Oh, yeah, I do. I do. I mean, sigils work. It's older than me, at least older than this body. So hello, everyone. Welcome, free thinkers, one and all. Thank you for joining us. This is the place to be if you want to be amongst people that, are free thinkers, non-judgmental. We're learning as we go. And hey, we're just breaking it down. Hello, all the moderators. Big Al, how are you? The t-shirt. Today's t-shirt is brought to you by Lilith. Lilith has been talking here lately and, is the fabulous, talented artisans that we have. There is, and I showed you all this before, but is that just not the coolest thing? Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. That is just too cool for school. That's all I got to say. So give hello to Lilith. Happy birthday to all of those who got one, and anniversary too. I want to say hello to my sister, Holly, who is in the hospital. So sis, sending you healing energy, much love, and all the rest of you healers, if you would do the same, just focus in on her and just send her all the healing energy that you can in love and support. So yeah, the journey's not quite over, sis, yet. So just hang in there. It's going to be okay. So interesting day around the world. I tell you, at times, I swear, it's like you go, okay, just how much more of this can there be? I mean, how tight stretches the rubber band? That's what I want to know. Thank you, David Barry, 75. I appreciate it. Hello, Miss Trina. There's Angie. There's a song about you, Angie. Dragon Soul Fox, good to see you. Nick Gruel will be on next Friday night, special Friday night show. Robert, good to see you, my friend. Truth Seeker 1961, hell of a year. Glad you're here. Valerie, there's a song about you too, several. Richard, good to see you. Katina, good to see you. Yeah, a lot of people. The title, Stop Being Afraid. Holy crap. I mean, fear, it seems to be everywhere. There are those who promote fear. Fear can be promoted and manifested in so many ways. It's all designed to imprison the mind. It's where fear lives. And we're going to take a step today in how to really eliminate fear. Now, some people say, well, there is some fear that is healthy. I mean, I guess that could be somewhat. I mean, in the context of survival, I think what you're saying then is danger. I mean, we react to danger. Is it with fear or is it with knowledge that we're adverse to pain? And I think that's really the question. How much are we really fearful and how much is really the adversity to pain itself? And folks, this world is, we've established, if there's a hell, we're living it. I don't know if spirits can feel pain. We read from the spirit book that apparently, yes, they seem to have emotions, and why not? I mean, if we got them, we are spirits. Been meditating on that more and more. There is something, folks, something profound, at least for myself, in the fact that to be in existence in this realm while being able to have the spatial capacity to see the other realm without having to see it. Does that make sense? Sure it does. But I tell you what, we're going to take some steps today. You know, one of the things I found out about Lilith and practicing the magic that I do, the first thing I had to do was overcome my perception of fear of what I had been taught in my religion. I mean, that's a mind coitus all the way around, folks. We've all established that. But what I found out was that you can harness the energy of fear. Yeah. You literally can absolutely harness it and actually make it a mule, a slave to your desire, taking that energy and transmuting it into intent of a different effect. It's powerful. It'll make your dreams come to pass if you just learn to channel it. We have to accept that in this realm is, I don't know if you want to call it dark. I think we sometimes have the misperception of what light and dark is, but having said that, only because, and the reason why I say that, folks, is that it's a scientific fact. We have like 3% of the visual spectrum that we can see. I said yesterday, I'm convinced that these species, these beings, whatever they are, I mean, if they look like us, then you have to say they came from a branch of us or something. So that whole paradigm we haven't even gotten into yet. But let's just say the fact that they exist, I'm telling you, I think they're here. I think they're everywhere. It's just that we can't see it. And fear. Every religion is predicated on fear. It's the fear-guilt matrix. I mean, that's exactly... If there wasn't fear, there would be no religion. Think about it. I mean, we know as mature souls, there is cause and effect. I mean, you don't have to be a freaking rocket scientist to figure that one out. You know, it's just the way it is. We live in a realm where, and I think it's the same in many other dimensions. I don't know. I may have been there, may have not. I don't know. I'm looking forward to having Lisa Barnett on and when we can tap into the Akashic record. I mean, but in any case, in this realm, cause and effect is real. And, you know, it's the thing that when I used to counsel people, in the religious doctrine I was at, the example I would give is that, so you have a 6-year-old child who climbs a tree and gets onto a branch that breaks, and the child falls and subsequently dies. So whose fault is that? Is it God? Well, we've established that can't be the case. Is it the parents? No. No, what happened was the child, in ignorance, did not comprehend or factor in the fact that we live in a world called gravity. Nor did the child factor in its weight bearing on the branch to determine whether that branch would be able to hold. No. The child was operating within a realm of basically having no limitations, but each one has a consequence. And that's what happens, folks. It's just the way it is. And it's not a case of, like I said, that someone is, you know, bad. No, it's just the way it is in this realm. We've said already, you know, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Yeah, they bet their ass they do. So let me invoke favor upon everybody. You think I forgot, didn't you? No. May there be abundant favor manifested in your life this day, in your body. May there be nothing missing, nothing broken in your life. And we say that every day. I don't read the declaration all the time, but we will do it from time to time. If you don't have a copy of that declaration, and if you're not saying it on a daily basis, You're cheating yourself. That's all I got to say. So how is everybody? Trina, how are you doing? Looking forward to having you next week. I'll tell you, that Second Look program. Woo-hoo! Yeah, we break ground on that one. Hello from the UK, JJ. We've got the UK, Wales, Canada, all around the world. It's so good to see everyone. Susie Q, hello. Lost in Space, good to see you. Sylvia, hello. Man, I'm just so many cool people here. All right. Fear. Today, apparently over the world, people are gathering in the fear-mongering, fear mind control matrix of the climate change, a catastrophe, global warming. It's all over, folks. It's just, and I can't believe they're letting people out of school. Jeez, we went out of school to protest the war. Got suspended for that too. So things have changed. And again, this whole discussion is predicated on fear. The world's going to end, The problem is no one in the media is giving the true story on this. So last night, if you listened to me on the Steiger Perspective over in the AutorsFirst.com network, which you should, I told you what the President General of the Council of the UN came out and said, the IPCC. Folks, all this global warming crap, all this stuff being talked about, catastrophes, how man is changing weather is BS, admitted by the UN. Furthermore, as he said, all the models are wrong. Well, there you got a big problem there. It's like, as Adam Savage would say, a mythbuster. Well, there's your problem, because none of the models ever factored in the sun. I mean, how much of a moron do you have to be, and all the billions of dollars that has been taxed illegally and put towards this whole climate change? Folks, climate change is a reality. The earth is climate change. That's what it does. It changes climate. But to say that man is the cause, that's preposterous. And now they finally admitted, because they have to, solar particles. Oh my God! You're going to bring science into this? Yeah. Not only that, plasma, magnetism. None of those are in the models. None. But yet, they are, in fact, the ones that cause weather. Okay, I digress. So anyway, I'm sure the censors will love that one. Yeah, you already got someone who already put a thumbs down. Like, all right, if you believe that the world is going, to hell in the handbasket, folks, climate change, it's real. Our world is a very unstable place. Ariel told us that. We've heard that from others of the ETs that are here. This is not the place that you would actually want to put a population. You want to put a population where a lot of the dynamics have pretty well, stabled out. The earth is anything but stable. And it's, I don't like it here in Denver, where I'm at. It's been 10, 15 degrees above normal. September, I'd have no doubt would go down in the books as, one of the hottest. It sucks here. People up in Alaska, they know. But this is what we expect when we're seeing a magnetic pole flip. We're these dynamos and these dynamics, they're going to show up. In fact, if you look at this from an anthropologist perspective, human migration has been because of weather. So how are they they don't bring that up. Millions of years, humans have had to migrate across the planet because of the ever-changing weather patterns. That's just a fact. But I don't hear that in any of the tripe that's going out there. So anyway, have fun if you're out there protesting. Everyone should be. Hello, Consciously Aware. How are you, my friend? So good. Missed you. Haven't seen you in a while. So glad to have you here. All right, let's talk about fear, because it's everywhere. I mean, wow. I was out, had to do some errands, and while I was out, I mean, some of the conversations, you just listen, and you can see where it's like, oh crap, we're in deep trouble here. I mean, it's again, it's everywhere. So as I do, because I respect your time and my time, let's just go to our little presentation for the day. So the stop sign is, I thought, appropriate. Stop living in fear. But many of us do. All right, I found this interesting. So this was taken in a survey back in October of 2017. The numbers don't lie. A lot of us are living in fear. Newsflash. And we're afraid of things we can't necessarily control. It's where all fear is predicated, is always on the future. Isn't that odd? Fear is always predicated on the future, the unknown. An October 2017 survey by Chapman University indicated that more than half of people in the U.S. are either afraid or very afraid of government corruption. Hey, you don't need to be afraid. That's just a reality. It's a fact. The fact that none of the bastards are ever arrested is the thing that gets me. But anyway, healthcare reform. Yeah, I just read today that the United States is falling into third world status in healthcare. Wow. So much for Obamacare, eh? Let me just tell you a true fact. Back in the day, and I'm talking in 1978, I had to go in the hospital. My wife had insurance. I had insurance. And the way it worked back then was amazing. When I got out of the hospital, we got a check for over $7,000. It was well over $7,000. Yeah, that's how insurance worked back then, because both companies came in, there was an overpayment, and guess who got it? Us, the insurer. But they don't have that today. No. Anyway, I did pollution of the oceans. Hey, that's valid. None of these, by the way, all of these are already happening. So being afraid of it is preposterous, ridiculous. It already is. We ought to be trying to find solutions. Lakes and rivers. The top three fears of Americans today. Nearly half of people are afraid the U.S. will be involved in another world war. Well, newsflash on that is going to happen. According to a March Gallup poll, 40% of people worry a great deal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Baby, there are professional worriers. My wife is one. She used to be. She'll tell you. She was a professional worrier. She'd be awake at night. Worry a great deal about another terrorist attack. Well, yeah. But again, worrying isn't going to change anything. And although there is between a 1 in 5 million and 1 in 20 million chance of dying in a plane crash, and a 1 in 45,808 chance of dying in a terrorist attack, those fears loom large. And get this is why I put that, the collective psyche. Let's think about this. If there is an admission of a collective psyche, doesn't that validate the whole thing of collective consciousness? Collective intelligence? Maybe we be on to something here after all. So again, danger is very real, but fear is a choice. Think about that. Fear does not stop death, it stops life. Fear is a liar. I'm getting t-shirts on this one. And fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. as an entrepreneur, one of the things I had to learn very quickly is that failure is part of the equation. You are going to fail. In fact, you're probably going to fail more often than you succeed, but your successes will be so much higher, so much more enduring, because you overcame the fear of failure itself. Someone needs to hear that. All right. So fear of something bad happening in the future is one of the things that makes us human. That's why we go to tarot cards, rods, pendulums, Ouija boards, whatever. Isn't it odd, though? I never see everyone asking, do you know the day I'm going to die? Well, wait, I don't want to know that. I just want to know when I'm winning the lottery. Animals might fear an immediate danger that is happening right now, but only we humans fear something that might happen. That isn't happening now. That isn't even showing its ugly face at the moment. Fear, future, unknown. You seeing this? So I just kind of listed out some of the top things. Failure, we addressed. Abandonment, rejection. I mean, all of us have faced that. I faced that as a child. I guess because I conquered that, I was never afraid of being rejected by the opposite sex. Well, in that intimacy, a lot of people have, talk about the mask. I mean, intimacy. Whoa, give me my space. Yeah. Intimacy is really could be total vulnerability. I found this very interesting. The people that I have dealt with business, and it was quite amazing when you analyze this, how many people you would think that failure is one thing, but there are more people who are afraid of success. They really are. And subconsciously, they will do anything to sabotage themselves or even a deal that they're in. Another one is being broke. In this materialistic reality, I think that would probably be a legitimate one, if you want to say, but being afraid of it is you're basically projecting it to come to pass. Not being good enough. This is the one thing I hear people, the self-talk. If you curse yourself, if you're using language that degrades yourself, if you're telling yourself, blah, 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 we've talked about this. Man, you're just hexing yourself. Trina, that's how I would say it. They're hexing themselves. And the last one, the other things. There's some people that, man, the other things, a list as long as you can think. All right, so how do we get over this? All right, it's pretty simple when you really look at this. First, acknowledge your fear. I remember when the first time an evil presence, back then it was a demon, what we were pretty much taught to believe. And typically you'll manifest what you believe. And I can remember almost soiling myself. But then, I don't know, the rational thought came in and says, but I haven't been harmed. That opened up a whole new paradigm. Anyway, this is the first huge step. If you do just this today, you've done something great. Many of us have these fears, but they are at the back of our mind, unnoticed. That back of your mind is a code term, subconscious, unnoticed, unacknowledged, only to the conscious mind. Subconscious mind is fully engaged, baby. And you know what? If this is what you got there, your subconscious is going to make damn sure everything it can do to bring it to pass. As we try to ignore them and pretend they're not there, but they are there, and they affect us every day in our lives, So acknowledge the fear. You know, bring it in and say, hey, fear baby, come here. I want to give you a big hug. Come on. Let me just hug it out of you. First step. Second one, write it down. Amazing me how people don't write down things. Write your fears. Write it on a piece of paper. Now, I'm going to tell you a little magic here. We're going to do a little ceremonial magic. You should have your circle, double circle, folks. And if you have been learning sigils, you put your sigils in between the two lines. All right. And do the following. Write it down. Not only acknowledges that you have it, bring it out into the light. Then that externalizes the fear. It takes the fear from the dark lurking places in the back of your mind where it has power over you out into the light of day, outside of you where you have power over fear. Remember, fear is the mind killer. Dune. Take control of it by writing it down. Now that it's outside of you, you can do something about it. Now, I like to crumple it up, stomp on it. You can do whatever you want. I many times will put it in the triangle in my circle and set it afire. Once I put a sigil on it, I'll set it afire. And it's ceremonial banishing is what it is. So my subconscious is now being reprogrammed that that's nothing to be afraid of. In fact, we're going to embrace it. Some serious reprogramming going on. The other one is feel the fear, baby. You've acknowledged it, but you still are afraid of it. You're reluctant to even have this fear, perhaps even embarrassed about it. Well, no more. Recognize that you're not alone, that we all have these fears, that we all think we might not be able to be good enough. Yes, everyone is fearful at some point in our lives. We have the same fears as you do. It's a fact. So repeat after me. There's nothing wrong with having this fear, whatever it is, put it in. Now allow yourself to feel it. If you have a fear of heights, start getting that woozy feeling. You know, that feeling where things begin to get, unbalanced. Embrace it. Pull it in. If you begin to experience it, then begin to bask in it. Let it saturate you. At your moment of departure from this realm, that's what I'm doing. Not resisting it. I'm going to embrace it. Resisting it, why would I then? It isn't as bad as you think. It's a part of you, and it doesn't have to control you. As they say, feel the fear, do it anyway. I mean, it's just a fact. Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen? Often it's not as bad as we think. Do you fear failing in a new career? What would happen if you did? You'd get another job. You'd move on. You'd live on. Do you fear being rejected by someone of the opposite sex? What would happen if you were? You'd lick your wounds. You'd find someone else who is more suited to you, and you'd live. Do you fear being broke? What would happen if you were? You'd cut back on your expenses, perhaps ask the family or friends to help out for a little while. You'd find a way to make money. You live. You always will. Earl Nightingale had some of the best teachings on how there are a million things a person can do in their everyday life that will make them a millionaire. There's no shortage of money. Never has been. It's the shortage of your belief and your fear of that. So just do it. So to repeat, feel the fear, do it anyway. To beat the fear, you have to just do it. Some tips on doing this first is not thinking, just acting. Like when you want to jump off a waterfall into the pool below. Don't think about it. Just jump. That's how I did it. That's how we all did it. You know, how many of you remember the swimming pool, public swimming pool, the 10-meter board? Holy crap, you watch the guys going up there and, it's like, hey, ain't no big deal. Then you get up there and look down and you go, oh, yeah. But you jump. And it's an exhilarating feeling. Some people say, I have a fear of public speaking. Well, I can tell you, we all do. But I learned in my hundreds of presentations publicly that I loved it. I started I always wanted to make eye contact with the first row. Once I begin to establish contact, I can direct my message because it becomes more centered. Now, I'm aware, in some cases, there was over 3,000 people in one particular meeting. But yeah, and oh man, it's close to an orgasm. I got to tell you, it's when you walk onto that stage and it's the rush. I mean, yeah, you get that fear, you want to come in, but boy, you just say, man, no, I'm going to live the moment on here. So you just ignore your fear, just go for it. You'd be surprised, folks, once the fear abates, and whatever it is, and you start acting on it, opportunities start coming around. The other thing you have to understand, this is battle. And the one thing I don't quite understand in the metaphysical community is they don't use certain terminology. Listen, it's a battle. It's a battle of state of consciousness, state of emotion. I mean, we are emotional creatures. It's ego. Part of the package. So when you're going to take on an adversary, what do? You prepare yourself. If you have a math test, a math test is Satan. What the hell do you mean by that, Wayne? Well, this is exactly a prime example of actually using the word correctly. You see, many people have an adverse fear of taking tests. Satan is the adversary. So your fear is your Satan. Getting it? And so what do? Well, if you're in the military and going through basic training, and let's say you want to qualify for the elite forces, what are you going to do? You're going to start training yourself, baby. You got a battle coming. So you do the same approach against your fear. Arm yourself, have a battle plan, write it down. Why is that so freaking hard for people? Just write it down. Once you write it down, it becomes much more, let's say, feasible for its manifesting. If you want to be a magician, what are you going to do? Going to have a fear of failure? No, you're going to practice, practice, practice. I played the clarinet. You try out for, band, marching band, and then there was classical band. You still had to try out, had to do the chromatic scale. Then you had to do, very difficult things. It was not easy. But when you begin to learn to master the instrument and have that sound coming out, unabated, smooth, uninterrupted, yeah. I always saw myself playing first row, first chair. Didn't get to first chair, got to first row, but didn't get to first chair. It's the skills that, that we need to implement a plan. Implementation. I'm getting into my business past, but one of the things I was always surprised with when you build a management team was when you come into a group and you begin to build your business plan, your master plan, the most key part of that business plan, investors will want to see it, your analysts will want to see it, is what is your implementation plan? And implementation plans are very complex. And the more complex or the more thorough they are, the more guaranteed success you're going to get. I'm telling you, if you apply the same principle in your life, it's going to be fine. Here's the big key, folks. Seriously, be in the moment. We see this with all philosophers. We see this with all the great masters that have come to humanity. They will tell you, learn to live the moment. Fear of failure and other similar fears are fears of the future. If an event has already happened that you're afraid of, well, you're going to have to be reacting to it. There's no longer in fear of it. Now you're having to react to it. We get caught up in worrying about what might happen. Instead, banish all thoughts of the future. Now, folks, this requires discipline. I could share some things with you, but I can't legally on some points. But, folks, you learn to banish it. And that's one of the things I hope you've learned in charging a sigil. You banish the thought, the sigil itself. Banish even thoughts of past mistakes and failures. Now focus on the right now, the moment. Do something right now to beat your fears, to pursue your dreams, and forget about what might happen. Just do it now, in the moment. When you find yourself thinking about the past or the future, bring yourself back in the moment and focus on what you're doing right at this moment. The fact is, if you're spending more time thinking about the future or the past, then you are a divided mind. It's called, in the biblical term, you are a double-minded mind. Double-mindedness will always yield and produce failure, misery, pain, suffering. Always. It will also bring in every evil contention, confusion, and all that energy with it. It's a double mind. You can't be of a double mind. And sadly, most people have never disciplined themselves to get that done. This is class, folks. Hope you're taking notes. The other thing is, so often when people begin to make progress, they begin to get too big for their britches. And instead of learning to take the small steps, they want to take leaps. Can't do that. Conquering fear and pursuing a life goal can be overwhelming, intimidating. So start small. Just take one little baby step, something you know you can do. Learn to feed on and feed to your successes, no matter how small they are. If you learn to praise your successes, the subconscious gets into super gear here. Something you're sure to succeed at, then feel good about it. Take another small baby step, keep doing this, and soon you'll have conquered a mountain. Baby steps. And it's the old adage, how do you eat the proverbial elephant in the room? You know, one bite at a time. Celebrate every success. Every single thing you do right, celebrate it. Isn't it odd that we're so quick to condemn ourselves, but so reluctant to praise ourselves? Oh, you can't do that. That's ego, man. You know, that's just like, you know, being so self-centered. Shut up. Jeffrey Doherty, I'm borrowing it. I mean, seriously, shut that stuff up. You celebrate. That's the problem with most people. They don't have joy in their life because they're always so self-condemned. They don't know how to praise themselves. And it sounds like to some people, that just sounds so egotistical. Well, yeah, it is. I'm a fabulous soul. I am a soul of complexity. I am beautiful. I soar. I mean, yeah. So use this feeling of success, of victory, to propel yourself forward to take the next step. Bill Gates describes a spiral of success. Boy, folks, we've had jets going over all day. Some F-35s, F-18. They're buzzing us today. He used the thing when he started out with Microsoft, MS-DOS. And I've been privileged in the very early days attending a number of conferences where Bill Gates spoke. One of the things he taught me, I remember in 1998, he said, if you can find a product or a service that is socially acceptable, then you are virtually guaranteed success. He used this to build Microsoft up from its early successes of MS-DOS to its success with Windows and everything else. Build upon the success, use it as a stepping stone to the next victory. The point is, you got to take the step, folks. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom. Bertrand Russell. Now, I pulled this off from the Gnostic Gospel. I think this comes out of the Gospel of Mary, or maybe Gospel of Peter, I'm not sure. Anyway, it says that Christ boldly taught that ignorance is the cause of all sin. You can actually replace sin with the word fear. In fact, the Bible does. The New Testament actually says anything that proceedeth not out of faith is sin. It's fear. He saw that in order to practice forgiveness, or the science of forgiving, and it is a science. Have you ever heard people, well, I can forgive him, but damn, I'll never forget it. No, you missed the point. Man must be enlightened to the fact that man has the power to forgive all sin. That's why God can't forgive you of sin. He never invented it. It never invented it. Man did. Discord and inharmony. That it's not God who forgives sin, for God has nothing to do with sin, sickness, and inharmony of man, that man himself brought these into being. And man is the only one who can erase or forgive them. He saw that man must learn that ignorance is disregarded and lack of understanding both of divine mind and the creative principle of his relationship to that principle. Yeah. No kidding, folks. I love this. This is what it's about. I could go on with it, that it continues, but I think the point is well taken. Baby steps. And I apply this to the same principle when dealing with the spirit realm. If you're going to venture into the spirit realm, in which I encourage you to, you are a spirit. You're merely over here on a temporary visa, baby. And once your visa is up, you're out of here. You're back to where you came, which was the spirit realm. Why the hell are you afraid of something that you already are? Anyway, I digress. Now, granted, there's some bad hombres, which tells us that this whole heaven and earth thing, hell thing, that don't exist. But granted, it's crowded over there. It's really crowded over there. The second part of that lesson actually deals with exactly how many are over there. And if you take the standard understanding of the primarily three big religions of the world today, they all kind of more or less kind of jive that, 100 trillion so-called angels. Third, they said, fell. So that means there's like 33 trillion supposedly bad guys. The world's population is only 7.5 billion. We're talking trillion. Wow. It's like, well, Lilith taught us this. I mean, it was somewhat laborious going through how she was laying out this complex hierarchy, but apparently there's a lot of them. And you have to think that since we don't know where we were when we were created, literally, individually, and collectively, well, I often thought this. I had the thought hit me one day. And it came and it spoke and it said, what makes you think you're not one of us? Who said that? It's like, well, what do you mean, one of you? I mean, there's beliefs out there that says that all of us are of an order of something. Some of us are of a higher order. There are those who are of the much lower order. If you were to take that, I'm not saying it is, but let's just hypothetically project out here. What order do you think you are? We've studied this. The spirits books gave those orders. I thought about it for myself. And I guess the words of Ecclesiastics is so true. The ignorance of wisdom is more to be desired than the pain of knowing wisdom. And it's true. You know, there's a price that we all pay for the wisdom. We suffer more because we begin to realize there's some things here that, you know, they begin to, the fugue begins to dissipate, the fog lifts, and you go, yeah, this sucks here. Like, now wait a minute, you know, all the traps, you think about it today, you know, we live in a materialistic world, and it's true. I mean, the gods are materialistic. All religions are materialistic. They proclaim to be of the spirit, but hey, you're going to pay your 10% tithe. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, don't give me that bull. And, you know, you go, okay. So the trap is that, well, if I become wealthy, well, now, I mean, better it is for a rich man to enter into the eye of the camel than, what is it? Easier for a camel to enter in. I don't know. I've screwed that thing up so much, but you get the intent. And I'm going, So are you attached to your possessions? No. There are, I guess we all have those special things because they identify it, and that is not the same thing. You know, what I'm talking about is, oh, I got to go out and get the latest Prada, you know, new pair of Jimmy Choos, you know. Yeah, I know about those. And anyway, Josh, it's so good to have you back in here. Hey, Brian, how you doing? But we learn these things. And I think that's just where it comes into this whole thing of fear. You know, the reason why I did this today was that it was just all over the place. And the energy was weird today. It was just, and we have to begin to get tuned in that there is this collective consciousness, this collective emotional soup. And, you know, you get enough people that become bat crap crazy in a particular thought or an idea, regardless of whether there's any facts to back it or not, it becomes real. The emotion becomes real, and there is cause and effect everywhere. It's just weird. I'm trying to check out some of the conversation, and you know, that's never good because it's like stepping in the middle of a conversation. What are you going to say? Well, best thing is to say nothing at all. Anyway, how many 51ers will fail today? Lawrence, that's a good question. Let's see. Barry just says, wow, I just explained to my son, Wayne. Okay, cool. And that's what we're doing. We're passing on knowledge. I mean, I would find it great to get a group of young minds, 17, 18-year-old minds, and begin to explain to them some of the things that it really is. But so often we're us free thinkers, It's like the sign, everyone welcome except free thinkers. All right. Everyone's allowed to ask a question, just you can't speak a word. Wait a minute. What? And that's what happens. Well, all right, folks. This has been interesting. Hey, I practice it. It works. And if in fact the last thing we really want to be is part of the herd, right? I mean, but then again, if there's enough of us, then we can become the herd. Oh, so maybe it's not so, there's the dichotomy of that one. It's like, well, I ain't going to be part of that herd mentality. Yeah, but what if we become the herders? Now there's an idea. Instead of leading all of the rest of the sheep to the slaughter, we can lead them out into the pastures, So let's explain to you the difference between having a choice and free will. I'm still getting emails on that one. That one just really, Trina, that just really messed with people's heads. It really did. There were a lot of them going, oh, no, wait a minute. All my life, I've been told that the reason why I have a choice is because I have free will. No, you have a part of free will, but you have to understand someone is setting the choices for you. And let me just get, as we begin to wrap it up here. So my whole thing on when I have people and they still come, I don't know, lately they haven't. Maybe they've put us on their map. Don't go to that guy's house, True story. I had a group of Jehovah's Witnesses came up and I'm listening. I was actually kind of mean, but listening and hearing them out. And they had this bright young 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy. And so I began to respond to what they were asking, and particularly on the questions of, how can you be a Jehovah's Witness when the letter J doesn't exist? You're not Jewish. How could you be adapting a Jewish theology? And, of course, these people are going, and this boy is listening, and he says, so where do you get your knowledge from? And then I proceeded to tell him my background. The next thing I know, the three adults, man, they're off the porch and gone. And they didn't even leave a watchtower brochure. I felt kind of slighted. And the conversation I had with the Mormons was even more enticing. But anyway, all right, folks. I hope you've had fun. This has been kind of a, the energy is still very strange. You can feel it all around. So have yourself a great, strong end of the week. I'll see you on Monday for sure. Be with Jeffrey Doherty on Sunday over on his channel, Christian Whistleblower, for Not Your Normal Sunday show. And hey, thank you, Robert. Peace to you, buddy. Big Al, you the best. Brian, you got a show tonight? Is that what? All right. I guess, Brian, what time is that? I think normally you come on about 8 o'clock. Is that right? Eastern time? Or is it 9? I don't know. Anyway, folks, check out Brian over at Milky Way Messenger. He's going to be live tonight. And yeah, so I'm just reading some of this thing as I go. Hey, Timothy Watt Jr., how are you doing? Angie, you're welcome. Kay, you're welcome. LT, thank you. 10 p.m. Eastern time. So go over there. I guess you're going to have guests on there, Ryan, I'm sure. David Barry, peace, brother. Folks, Laugh. Love yourselves. Give yourself a hug. Go in the mirror. Next week, we're going to, by the way, start doing a little bit of scarring. Yes. But folks, and now I just got a fingerprint on it. Learn to love yourself. Look yourself in the mirror. Tell yourself that it's beautiful. Your body is a spirit. Love it. It's the most intimacy you will ever experience in this life is your body. More intimate than any other person could ever hope to achieve. Think about that. All right, folks, y'all are the best. Thank you for allowing me into your lives. You're the best, and that's all I can say to all the rest. I think that's kind of cool. All right, we'll see y'all later. Be good to yourselves. All right, bye-bye.